gosh.
Good evening. I want to welcome all of you to the Candidates Forum for the Mashpee Select Board. I'm Lynn Pleffner. I'm Chair of Voter Service for the League of Women Voters of the Cape Cod area, and I'm a resident of Chatham. The League is a nonpartisan, activist, grassroots organization for men and women, which encourages informed and active participation in government. This forum tonight is part of the League's ongoing voter education efforts to help voters make informed decisions at the upcoming election. We hope that over the course of this program, you will learn about the candidates and what they hope to do while representing you on the Select Board. So let me introduce you to our moderator this evening. Mr. Jack Elkin is a resident of Mattapoisett and a member of the South Coast League of Women Voters. So Jack, you're up.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Again, my name is Jack Eklund. I am pleased to be a new member of the League of Women Voters South Coast and also a new member of the League of Women Voters statewide moderators panel. I am from Mattapoisett, where I served for 22 years as town moderator, and I'm now delighted to be continuing to work to help our democracy, work for our democratic processes in this particular role. And this happens to be the third night in a row that I've moderated candidate forums in different towns on the South Coast and now here on the Cape. The candidates tonight are for Select Board, and there are 4 candidates running, 2 candidates running for a 3-year seat. Those candidates are Timothy Dorsey, who chose not to participate in this forum, and Michael Richardson. And the candidates for the 2-year seat are Tracy Kelly and Greg McKelvey. And I'll start by giving folks some indication of our procedures for the forum, which I've briefed the candidates on ahead of time. We are going to start with a number of questions that have been submitted by the League, members of the community, and the local media. I doubt we'll be able to get to all of the questions. We received many of them, but we're going to try to do as many as possible. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. And then at the conclusion of the evening, each candidate will be able to give a 2-minute closing statement, and the order of those statements has been determined randomly, with Mr. McKelvey going first, Mr. Richardson next, and Ms. Kelly going last. We have timekeepers here. They're sitting in the front row, and when each of you has 30 seconds left of your speaking time, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 30 seconds. When you get to a point where you need to stop, you'll see a stop sign. And if you run the stop sign, then I'm here to tell you, whoa, stop. You've run the sign. I'm not issuing any citations, but hopefully you'll all pay attention to that, and I won't have to stop you too often. As we've discussed, and is always true at these league forums, personal references about other candidates are absolutely out of order. We stick to the issues here at these forums, and I'm delighted to say that this is about the 6th or 7th forum in the last year that I've moderated, and every one of them has been extremely civil, professional, and there's been a great deal of respect among the candidates and terrific discussion about the issues. The forum is being recorded and will be rebroadcast several times on cable station channel 26, and we thank the local cable channel for that. This recording may not be used or edited in whole or in part for any campaign purposes. A link to the program on a candidate's website or social media is acceptable. As the program will be aired after tonight's event, the league policy dictates that the program must be aired in its entirety. And now I'd like to address the audience and also myself, because I forget to do this. Please turn your cell phones off. So if you have to take a call, put it on silent, put it on buzz. If you have to take a call, please leave the room quietly and do it outside. We appreciate it very much. And if you have any other devices that ring, please shut them off. I'm also given a card that says that the forum will be broadcast on channel 1072. Is that in addition to channel 26, or is that? No, it's, okay, so forget the channel 26 reference. It's channel 1072 on your cable dial. Going back to the audience, again, we also ask that you treat candidates fairly. Please remain quiet throughout the forum. We can get much more done if folks hold their applause until the end. That makes a lot more sense. So please wait to applaud. We'll give everybody a round of applause at the very end of the program. That way we can get more questions answered and get more information out to you and all of the voters who are watching or will be watching on cable TV. There's no campaign literature or signs allowed inside the room. And I think we have an awful lot of questions here, but if you think of something that is a burning question that you want to ask, please signal to the league folks here, and they can get you a card. You can write it down, and if they think it's an important question, a good follow-up, they'll hand it up to me, and we'll try to get your question in. Just raise your hand and make sure that you're, to get their attention, and just make sure that your question can be answered by all of the candidates. We're not trying to single anybody out here. We want to know about broad issues that each of the candidates can address. So, with all of that being said, let's start the forum, and we're going to begin with Ms. Kelly, and here's an easy one.
Thank goodness.
Please introduce yourself to the voters, and how do you believe your personal experiences and skills will contribute to the productivity of the Select Board?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tracy Kelly. I'm a proud Mashpee resident and tribal member. I feel I bring a lot of skills, transferable skills, to the Select Board. I have led a 20-year career in the nonprofit sector. All of that work is really mission-driven. It's really important that when I work for a program, when I connect to a project of any sort, that it really connects to my value system. So all of my work experience is connected to community wellness, intergenerational language programming, and public health. Specifically, I, even within the past 2 years, have directed and managed teams as small as 3 direct reports and as large as teams of 20 people cross-departmentally, depending on the size of the initiative. Those also come with client relationships, which I do have exemplary relationships with our clients. I pride myself in connecting genuinely and working for the client's best interest. And I feel those skill sets are really valuable to a Select Board. A person that can engage community, that can work with diverse groups of people, and can also understand the needs of a client.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Greg McKelway.
McKelvey.
McKelvey,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
I'm Greg McKelvey. Yeah, good evening to you. Thank you, League of Women Voters. Thank you, folks, for being here tonight in our Mashpee audience. Wow, my experience in Mashpee started 15 years ago. I moved to Mashpee, and my kids enrolled in the school, and I immediately started to find a place to be involved. And I started volunteering at different organizations. The Senior Center was the first one, then got involved with the school, and then soon after that got involved, being a volunteer here at Town Hall. I was on the Waste Management Committee for about a year and a half, and then I got involved with the Finance Committee. And I've been on the Finance Committee for 9 years. And one thing about that committee is that you learn the integral points of the town. You see the finances, you know where every dollar goes. And that is an important asset to have when you are a select board member. You get to ask the right questions at the right time to make sure that everything is going on track, and you have the experience and the knowledge to read that book and understand the finances of the town. Beyond that, I'm in the Mashpee Kiwanis group, where I volunteer regularly. I've been there for several years. It's a nonprofit group, and it brings to the town the ability to help families and young people in this town and at the school system as well. And I also bring a sense of dialogue. I believe in dialoguing with people, sitting across the table, talking, getting their opinions, getting their perspectives, trying to understand where they're coming from, so my own perspective is not clouded. I want a clear perspective of what people think, what their concerns are, and I bring all of that experience to the select board as is coming into this election. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. And our final candidate is Mr. Michael Richardson.
Well, good evening. I've been a resident of Mashpee now since 1998, full-time in 2008. After retiring, I decided that I wanted to help wherever I lived, and I started in '09 and got elected to the select board for 2 terms. Subsequent to that, I worked on the planning board. I've been a member of the capital improvement committee. I worked on the finance committee, just like Greg did over here. And found that over the course of the last 15 or 16 years, it's enjoyable. It's entertaining on many occasions, and it's also very interesting to be able to see a variety of different organizations, committees, try to put everything together in one package. It's very hard to do because everybody on every committee has their own thought process, their own interests, and they're there for a mission. They want to accomplish their mission. Making them all work together, put the puzzle together is very difficult. I think that having that experience over the years allows me to be able to look back and forth across lines, and when it comes to making a final decision, be able to look back on some of the experience and use that moving forward. And it's not going to be easy. It's not easy for anybody when you're involved in town politics. But we have to get something done in this town. We have to accomplish a lot, and it's not going to be easy. That means everybody together has to work together. I mean, I think collaboration is probably the most important thing that you're going to find lacking in some places, not just here, but all around the country and all around the world. You got to get together, and you got to make things happen. As Greg said also, I'm a member of Kiwanis and the Boys and Girls Club, because you got to get involved in every aspect of the life when you're in a small town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. All right, our next question is a two-parter, and again, a very good question. Some really good ones have come in from the audience today. And this will go to Mr. McKelvey first. What are the town's 2 biggest challenges in the next few years, and how should the town tackle those challenges? And then the second part is, what opportunities do you foresee for Mashpee in the coming years?
Thank you for that question. You know, the 2 biggest challenges I see as we go forward in Mashpee is wastewater and affordable housing. Neither challenge is easy. It's a conundrum for both, but we're definitely making progress on the wastewater. We're trying to make progress on the affordable housing. I've been involved with the wastewater since, really got involved with it in 2019. When Carol Sherman, the chairman of the select board, brought in a group of experts and like-minded people to really look at the science of what was going on in our community. And since then, I've done my best to be educated, be involved, and for every warrant, every article that's gone into this book regarding wastewater, I have voted for and supported. And I will continue to do so because it's an important challenge to our community. The second thing is affordable housing. Now, if that was an easy problem, it would be solved by now. It's not an easy problem. And that's where we need to come together around the table to get all the experts around the table to talk about important issues and not just the ordinary cookie cutter answers, but really try to boil this down to some out of the box answers. What do we do? What about something like a tiny house project? Or what about deed restrictions? What does that look like? What could that bring? Maybe some zoning changes we would want to look at. Of course, we'd have the planning board involved with that and those experts as well. But looking at everything should be on the table. And I think the opportunities that we have are really, as we go forward, endless. We have a great community. And you know what makes our community great? The spirit of our people, helping each other, cooperating with each other, and working with each other. I see it all the time. And that opportunity will help bring people to Mashpee, not only maybe to live here, but to maybe come visit, and also working with our schools. We need to make sure we give our school systems what they need. We have an excellent school system, I believe. I had a good experience with my two kids that were in school. And I think those are two good opportunities for the town, and I look forward to pushing those forward as I'm elected to the Select Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Same questions, Mr. Richardson.
Well, it's a two-part question with a 10-part answer. That's the real problem. You can't no one here in the room or anybody else around would question the fact that wastewater, but it's also clean water. It's not just wastewater, it's the ponds and the bays and everything else. So that's multiple issues. And the real issue is not necessarily whether you think water is a problem, it's affordability. How are we going to afford to do it? How are we going to get it accomplished? As Greg said, housing is a problem as well. There are multiple options and multiple places to go, but I think the real issue with Mashpee, particularly on housing, is working with the other towns and working with the Cape Cod Commission and coming up with multiple ways of doing it. There's tiny homes, accessory housing, there's all kinds of opportunities. And as mentioned earlier, deed restrictions is a mandate. You have to do that or you're not going to get anything done when it comes to housing. So those are the two that I think are important. I think we've delved deeply into the water issues. I think we've got to go deep further as much as we can, find a ways to get relief, get zero interest loans and get a way to afford it. We can't not do it. So it's not a matter of whether it's an issue or not, it's a matter of how quick we can get it accomplished. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. And those same questions for you, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. For me, the two biggest challenges in Mashpee facing us right now are the water quality and housing, and additionally, the intersection of those things. I think oftentimes there are conversations that treat those challenges in silos, and I think that we're at a critical juncture with our environment where we really need to discuss any type of redevelopment for housing, for instance, and how that can get sewered in. It's really important that we're not just supporting housing and building or development and not also looking at the intersection of what is the impact on the environment and also what is the impact on the town's character. I strongly feel I want Mashpee to stay that small town feel. I don't want, Mashpee to look like a city. And so that's really important to me. In terms of how to tackle that, I think there are some phenomenal things that this town is working on. Some of the things were already mentioned earlier, such as sewering, also cluster IA systems as part of that. Supporting the alum treatments in Mashpee Wakeby Pond. There are things that do require money. Yes, we have to pay for these things, but I don't think at this point the level of the water quality is something that we can ignore. And when I attended the last Affordable Housing Committee meeting, it was fascinating. There are lots of recommendations. There were 13, I think, distilled about in that meeting. And there are absolutely things that our town can do and support to have equitable housing options for year-round residents.
Thank you very much. The next question is really a follow-up on one of the issues that I think you all raised, and this will go to Mr. Richardson first. The Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates recently declared a regional housing crisis. What is your position on Mashpee's need for affordable housing, and what suggestions, if any, do you have to create affordable housing in Mashpee?
Well, you have to have places for housing. So that's kind of the first place. You have to think about where you can put housing. We should look at retired businesses that aren't being used, buildings that aren't being used right now. I mean, you begin with a deed restriction so that you can maintain this for the course of time. You got to look at the different variety of opportunities, whether they be tiny houses, may or may not fit, workforce housing. I mean, 50% of the town is over 60. I mean, we got to get some young people back that want to live here, and there's no place for them to live. I mean, who's going to do the jobs as we all get older? Then there's opportunity to use land appropriately. I mean, we want to save land for green space and conservation land, but somehow or other, meshing the two together has to happen, because if you don't use the land, you can't build the homes. If you can't build the homes, you can't get the people back to live here. You can't get them back to live here, and 10 years from now, we'll all be 80 years old, and there won't be any kids down here. So Mashpee, I think, should work with the other towns, particularly the Cape Cod Commission. There's plenty of opportunity in trying to come up with housing challenges that the Cape Cod Commission has talked about, like a housing trust or a land bank, places where we can put money together and find ways to purchase some of these houses. Like I said earlier, unused commercial properties, public-private partnerships on some areas. There's a ton of things that could be done, and I think it's the responsibility of the select board to get together with the commission and other towns perhaps and talk about just what opportunities that we can dig into. Again, we get back to the fact that it's expensive, but maybe a community investment kind of a structure. So all those things need to be done. It's not just going to an affordable housing meeting, because that's just one side of the coin. So that's what I think.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Same questions, Ms. Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. Could you repeat the question?
Sure. The Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates recently declared a regional housing crisis. What is your position on Mashpee's need for affordable housing, and what suggestions do you have to create affordable housing in Mashpee?
Thank you. I'm really passionate about this topic. I have been displaced more than one time in my lifetime out of Mashpee across town lines for this very issue. I know that housing is not an issue that's unique to just Mashpee, but this really, hits home for me, as my roots are here. My son goes to school here. I went through the school system here. The housing production plan outlined a lot of approaches, strategies to look at land use, where we could really support redevelopment, how redevelopment can interact and support water quality. Again, it is really important to support initiatives and strategies that look at both the environment, the water quality, and the housing shortage. It's really important that those are looked at as a whole. I strongly support deed restrictions. I think touching on the need for working families, for the workforce here, for people trying to get a startup home, it's really challenging. The average family needs to make $210,000 a year annually to afford a single-family home in Mashpee, which is a lot for many. I would also support, multi-units, duplexes. There are things that the town can explore and support so that there are more opportunities, not just 40B affordable housing, but equitable housing options, really, because some populations don't qualify, for 40B, but they don't make they can't afford like a multi-million-dollar home either. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Mr. McKelvey,
Thank
same
you.
questions.
Thank you. Well, you can't build your way out of this problem. Not here. Because you need a sustainable solution and one that's reasonable for the community. As I look at this, I checked out the housing production plan myself, and unfortunately, I thought it was a lot of the same old thing. And I think the building committee, the planning board, sorry about that. The planning board is relooking at the housing production plan, trying to rework that to make it more usable and more friendly for the environment. I look at things as maybe repurposing some structures in town. Maybe there's some structures we can repurpose in town. Maybe we should look at that. Maybe someone would be willing to give up a structure that we could repurpose. Of course, deed restrictions. All of us have mentioned that, but there's a process to do that, and that's going to cost some money as well. That's not going to be cheap. Tiny house projects. I love that idea. I think we could have a clustered group for that in the area. I think that would be interesting to explore. Of course, have a planning board look at zoning and really challenge our zoning and see what we need and where can it be changed. We don't want to disrupt the whole town to make it something that's not, because no one wants to live in the city, as you mentioned. But looking at it, right? And I think there needs to be a regional approach as well. Looking at the area, Hyannis, Barnstable, let's get these communities together and let's stop talking about this and let's create some action. These communities need action. And I think that's where it needs to go. And I would like to partner with Habitat for Humanity. I think that'd be a great organization to partner with, bring them back in the community. They've done a lot of houses here before, and I think it's a great program to have. And I'm hoping we can do some of this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. The next question will go to Ms. Kelly first, and this relates to local projects. Is the town spending too much on current projects like the sewer project or the new police station? Are there other capital needs projects that should be priorities for the town, in your opinion?
That's a great question. I don't feel the town is spending too much for water quality and for working conditions for public safety servants. I think that the price tags of those things are very high, but the reality of that is they're necessary. We can't continue to have overloads of nitrogen and phosphorus in our waters. I went on a tour, personal tour of the police department. The working conditions there were deplorable. There was black mold. The smell was catching me, and I was shocked to find that people are actually working in those areas every day. And I certainly wouldn't want my workplace to have that type of lack of quality. So where they are expensive projects, they are necessary. And so you'll get faced with these challenges as a town when you see the price tags, ideally any way we can to see, is there a way to get any additional funding? Are there other funding sources other than, a debt exclusion to support these things, which is important, but at the end of the day, it's critical. Clean water is critical. The police station is critical. And that's not to say that other things are not. I would love to see some sort of, etched out strategic plan. I noticed in this, a lot of the upcoming years, when after 2026, 2027, there was a lot of, blank cells or to be determined. It would be great to figure out what are our priorities, when do we want, is there going to be a new school request coming soon, those types of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Same question for you, Mr. McKelvey.
No, I don't think we're spending too much on wastewater because we kicked the can down the road too long. We waited too long to get this thing going, and it should have been going decades ago. But that said, I think what we've done has been excellent. To getting everything moving forward, one step at a time, bringing all these projects, this project in particular, throughout since the first planning and construction was approved back in 2020. So we've come quite a long way with wastewater, and we got to go farther with that as well to complete the project. So no, to answer that question, as far as the police station is concerned, I absolutely support the new police station. I toured it as well. I've toured it 3 times. I've gone over there, and it is deplorable. It's awful. And we wouldn't want to work in those conditions. You wouldn't want to have one of our loved ones being held there and have something happen, and that's a liability. So there's a lot of problems with the police department as it goes forward. It needs to be done, and I also want to point out that they looked at remodeling. They looked at remodeling, and they looked at rebuilding. I sit on the capital improvement program group, and we looked at remodeling. Remodeling was $33 million, right? And new station was 37. So what are you going to do? It needs to be a new station. So I definitely support that. And as far as grants are concerned, or any other options, I talked to Chief Carlisle over at the police department and asked him, do you know of any grants? Are there any grant money in your circle of friends, in your circle of police departments that you know that get grant money to build a building? And the answer is no. He didn't know any. He didn't know he wanted to know any, knew any. But however, you can get grants for equipment. You can get grants for programming, and they already are initiating some of that right now, and I think that's a great way to proceed. So we need to continue with the wastewater, and we need to continue to support our police and our civil servants, fire department as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. Same questions for you, Mr. Richardson.
I guess from my perspective, it's not whether we're spending too much money, but whether we're spending it wisely. And I sense from everything I've read and talked to folks that we are spending it wisely. It's just now a matter of whether we have enough money to get things done. A town is built around a structure. We have to look at our municipal structure, all our buildings and all our structures, as well as wastewater, as well as everything else. As far as the police station is concerned, that's the one police station I've actually gone to on a voluntary basis and looked around it, and it was terrible, and it was disgusting, and it was an embarrassment to the town. You wouldn't want to use that building for a tour to welcome new residents. There's no question it's needed. Based on the conversations I've had, they've done a great job of looking for ways to do it and try to do it at the best possible price. When you're talking millions of dollars, everybody gets a little scared, but millions of dollars is what they talk about every day now. It used to be dollars and cents. Now it's millions, like it just grows on trees. So, no, I don't think we're spending too much. I think the way we have to do it is find better ways to get loans, find better ways to get grants. It's not unwise to spend what we're spending. The question is, when can we get it done? How soon can we get it done? If we don't get it done, we're going to lose people. We're not going to get businesses that come down here. We're not going to get any money to be able to build housing. Who's going to want to live here if we don't fix our waters? When you start thinking in that term, it's not about money. It's about our future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richardson. This next question, which will go first to Mr. McKelvey, deals with constituent communications. And it's actually another multi-parter.
Great.
If elected, how will you keep in touch with and provide information to your constituents, for example, guiding them through the sewer project phases? And then how will you build communication among the diverse, whether by age or otherwise, groups of residents about important issues?
Great question. Communication and transparency are very important to me. Making sure people have the information they need to make the decisions that they have to make, and having the materials as well, like the downloads and things like this. A couple things I would suggest. Number one, I would suggest revamping our town website. Our town website is, I think, clunky. Trying to get through it is kind of clunky. Revamping that, making sure people have, instead of clicking something 5 times to get the information, you click once or twice and you got the information. Would like to see that happen. I'd also like to see the town engage in more outreach as far as, maybe email blasts, like a town-wide newsletter that we might have that might go out on email, like the Town of Mashpee newsletter. It goes out every month to people. It could be an e-letter that goes out to folks, or a paper letter that's at the senior center or at the library. And these are 2 places where you can communicate with people. I've volunteered at the senior center since 2011, and they have a huge amount of information there that they allow people to access and to gain information from. You keep doing that, putting it out there for people to have. And I'd also utilize the senior center in other ways too. I'd look at them to see how they could help navigate some of the digital age for our senior citizens. That's a tough one. I mean, we all need emails nowadays to do almost anything. So helping someone get an email address, helping them navigate Social Security applications or anything like that, that's something that I think would be helpful to the community as well. And I think I would love to meet with people. I'd love to have a monthly gathering, a weekly gathering, a coffee time with the selectmen, or whatever it might be, to get the word out, to talk to people, because I believe in dialogue. I believe in understanding your perspective and hearing your concerns so I can act upon them. And that's what I would like to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. Same questions for you, Mr. Richardson.
I kind of like being social, so that's not hard for me to do. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy meeting with people. I don't need a lot of sleep, so I'm usually up and around most days, early in the morning, late at night. I don't have a problem keeping in touch with people. I think it's just one of those things, if you're the kind of person that reaches out, then you will. And that's what I've done over the course of the years. It wasn't that many years ago that I actually started a TV show with Chris Ball on Mashpee TV called What You Need to Know. And it was simply bringing people from the town in, for example, a thing called free cash. When I was a select board, people would say, what is free cash? There's no such thing as free cash. But I brought the financial people in and we answered the question on the TV and found that some folks who didn't have an opportunity to address issues individually with the select board or somebody had a chance to look at the TV and say, oh, that's what it means. So I think communication is fun. I enjoy it. Maybe too much, people say, but I do enjoy it. I would have no problem with it. As far as I'm concerned, I would prefer I'd talk to every one of you folks before the meeting's over if I had an opportunity to do it. That's our responsibility. You don't get elected to sit behind a desk. You don't get elected to sit behind a door. You get elected to get out there and talk to the people who put you there, and so they can say, well, you know, Mike, we voted for you, but what a mistake I made. Or, we voted for you, and I'm glad that we did. I'll find out pretty quick if that's true, and you'll find out the next time because you won't vote for me. So I think that's just a matter of doing what you should do.
Thanks, Mr. Richardson. And those same questions for you, Ms. Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. This is really special and important to me, the conversation around communications, really in connecting with community. I think at the heart of the question, that's what it really is about, is having more spaces, more opportunities, and adapting to, modern day times. But some of those things are just time immemorial, connecting with other people, face-to-face conversations, ways to share information that is distilled down. Some of the town warrants, I do agree, I think sometimes the website is a little clunky to navigate when you're downloading documents and things like that. I do feel that there's space and opportunity to connect with community, whether it's, I'd love to do monthly listening sessions that take place a little later in the day. Sometimes folks are just really busy between, 5 and 7 p.m., and maybe that can come off as apathy or not, engagement. But oftentimes people do have a lot of important things to say. They have opinions on important matters. And it's really important to gauge, where the community is at on any given variety of things. So that could be listening sessions. There could be remote options. Not everyone drives. Not everyone's available 5 to 7. I'd also love to do a hot topics. So this is what I was talking about around engaging folks, providing information on key topics in the community, but in a distilled down way. I think oftentimes if we can explain or share information in quick or easy bullet points, might really engage folks to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna come to that next committee meeting. Or now I really wanna join that committee or that board. That sounds like exciting work that I know about. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question addresses the subjects of climate change and coastal protection, and it will go to you first, Mr. Richardson. Given the current climate change conditions, how would you advocate for the protection of Mashpee shorelines and the improvement of our coastal resiliency?
Well, the answer to the initial answer, or the easy answer, would be to stop development anywhere near the water. because it's pretty obvious that that's part of the problem. I think there's been a lot of changes with our conservation department and the DEP and everybody else are coming up with regulations that will enable towns to make those decisions without trying to figure out the solution by preventing building in the coastal flow areas. The lot sizes are being diminished by setbacks and water quality. I think the answer is simply, it's almost, you got to do it from a judicious perspective. You got to legislate the answer so that people don't feel like you're being picked on, or I can't do this, I can't do that. It's just a matter of, if you don't do something legally, if you don't do something officially, then you get into a he said, she said, and it just doesn't seem to work, because what you do is you bifurcate the town. You have people wondering why they get picked on while others are getting ahead. Reducing the large development is going to be hard, but I think it's an answer, and I think it's probably the biggest answer that we have. Protecting the land, saving land for open space or green space or conservation land, which we've done a pretty good job of in Mashpee, I think. Kind of works in counterbalance to building sometimes because the land's not available. But on the other side of the coin, I think you have to stop the building. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Kelly, same question.
And can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. Given the current climate change conditions, how would you advocate for the protection of Mashpee shorelines and the improvement of our coastal resiliency?
Excellent question. Thank you. First and foremost, I think it's really important to continue working with surrounding towns. Surrounding towns contribute greatly to the water quality in our area and our shoreline. But the climate crisis, is not unique to Mashpee, and because of that, there are a lot of great resources that are available to Mashpee. So the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative, working for Association to Preserve Cape Cod, that also has grant funding, is funding part of the stormwater runoff, for instance, in one of our areas. And I think that having an understanding that development on water is devastating, it's damaging. So I too also support like a lack of building up on water in environmentally sensitive areas. I grew up here. I grew up fishing these waters, crabbing, clamming, swimming, sunbathing, you name it. And as the years go on, because of climate change, I've been able to do that less and less with my family, and it's been a painful experience, whether it's salt water on the coast or fresh water, and a lot of that is climate induced and pollution, and then we get the cyanobacteria going in the fresh waters. I mean, there's lots of challenges with our water quality due to climate crisis, but there are also a lot of tools and hardworking people committed to water quality here in Mashpee.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, same question for you, Mr. McKelvey.
All right, can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Given the current climate change conditions, how would you advocate for the protection of Mashpee shorelines and the improvement of our coastal resiliency?
Well, Mother Nature is a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure. And climate change is definitely an issue in our community as we've seen these big nor'easters come through and these storms, the bigger storms, the bigger rains and all of that. A couple of things I could think of. Number one, continue to have the town to enforce the bylaws they already have in place, particularly in the flood zone area. Looking for ways to have more beach nourishment. The town does a beach nourishment program at South Cape Beach. Maybe we do more and more of that throughout all the whole coastal area in our direct area. And maybe we do some building restrictions. We look at some building restrictions, particularly in those areas that are right on the coast that are in the most danger of, endangering our environment. All those things are part of that. I think working with our conservation group, working with our building department at the local level and the state level, can be helpful as well, to make sure we're all on the same page, trying to do our best to preserve our coastlines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question will go to you first, Ms. Kelly, and this relates to taxes. Do you support the tax exemption for year-round residents? Do you believe it should be increased to 20%?
Thank you for the question. I do support the residential tax exemption for year-round residents, and the rate is 20%. I believe the Department of Revenue actually decides on that actual tax rate. So I do support the tax exemption. I think that for the average home, there are cost savings, that people can see these cost savings on their bills. I think times are very tough right now with inflation, with the prices of items, with the prices of these big projects that we need to take on because they're critical. It's critical to pay into sewering. It's critical, the police station's coming up for construction. And so I do support the residential tax exemption.
Thank you. Same question goes to you, Mr. McKelvey.
Thank you. I absolutely support the residential tax exemption. Mashpee brought this into play a few years ago when it was at 5%. They did a 5% tax exemption, and then they moved it up, I think it was last year, to 20%. And I think it can go up to 35%. So there's an opportunity to increase that. And that's looked at every year at a policy level on the select board. And so that meeting is very important, and you look at that every year. I think there's a way to increase that over time. It could be next year or the year after that, but it definitely should be going up because it will help our families. You all know that families are struggling. People are having a hard time making ends meet because everything is going up. So this really has an impact on the bottom line. I also think it'll help our elderly folks in the community as well. They need a break. There's a lot of folks living in Mashpee in homes, getting older, they live here a long time, and they're by themselves, and they're paying this by themselves. I had someone tell me that they're having to go to the bank to borrow money to pay down their property taxes. That's tough. And this will help people, and we should continue to do it, and I will encourage that, and I will affirm that all the way. Thank you.
Thank you. And the same question for you, Mr. Richardson.
Interesting question. When I moved here part-time, I didn't really care for it too much. Now that I'm here full-time, I benefit by it. I don't particularly like the pitting neighbor versus neighbor part of it, but it's something that has to happen, so I'm definitely behind it. There's only 15 towns that have it in the entire state of Massachusetts, with 330 some odd towns and cities. But there's 5 or 6 or 7 on Cape. So it's pretty obvious that this kind of a solution is very applicable to where we live. It may not apply elsewhere, and obviously it doesn't apply elsewhere because hardly anybody else has it. But if you live here, it's probably something that we have to have. Most of the people that I know that are not year-round, that live somewhere where I live, have said to me that we don't like it, but we understand it, and we support it. Therefore, I'm for it as well.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question will go to Mr. McKelvey first, and it relates to the upcoming town meeting. What is the most important article on the warrant at this year's town meeting, in your opinion, and why?
Well, it's quite a big book this year, as you can see. There's several articles that are important, and I'm going to pull out a couple. I think the Mashpee-Wakeby Pond initiatives, to get that project started, the alum treatments in the pond, making sure we get the design and engineering for the cluster system. They're thinking about going up there. I think those are big items. I also think the police station is a big item. That needs to pass for the health and safety of our community and those men that are working in that building in that community. So those need to pass. I think those are the big ones for me. And I would support those. I did support those when I voted for them on the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. McKelvey. Same question to you, Ms. Kelly. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Richardson. Reversing order here.
I'll go when it's my turn.
I think the police
apologies.
station is kind of the big one because, again, we're talking about our town, our structure, where we live, all the buildings that we have. It's a sick place. There will be people that will get sick over there if we don't do something about it. And these are the folks that are out there, our first responders, protecting our lives. Not that we have a lot of crime in Mashpee, but they're doing what we asked them to do, and we're putting their lives and medical at risk just by going into that building. It's bad enough what they have to do for a living, but then to go back after they go out and do something that's probably stressful, go back to a building where they can't breathe, and they can't stay for very long. So in my personal opinion, it's the police station that's most important. All the others there's nothing that's not important, and you hate to have to make a decision, which is why our budget is so high. What we're going to do collectively is vote for everything, perhaps, but I think the police station is one that's extremely important.
Thank you, sir. And finally, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you. I agree with other select board candidates up here. The really important things for me in the town warrant are water quality initiatives. These things do cost money. Things that are really important, that are of value and an investment into the community, cost money. I think that the alum treatment, I think that addressing stormwater runoff is really important. And I also think that also the police department is important. Again, I can't stress enough, how I think what caught me off guard initially about the police station was the amount. You see a dollar amount, you're like, oh, okay, well, 37.5 million. But when you do more research, when you hear various perspectives, when you connect with community, when you have conversations, and then when you get to go experience and look at something for yourself and make an educated vote based on that, I think that's what it's all about, and that's a typical approach that I apply just from my background and how I like to do things. So I strongly support, I think that water quality really comes to the top of my list of importance in supporting those articles.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you.
The next question is actually a two-parter, and it goes to you first, Ms. Kelly. Will you support the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Mashpee and the Wampanoag tribe, and how would you work to address racial hostility in the town of Mashpee?
That's a big question. Can you repeat it one more time, just so I can ensure I'm clear?
It's
on
two
the question?
questions.
Okay.
Will you support the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Mashpee and the Wampanoag tribe, and how would you work to address racial hostility in the town of Mashpee?
Thank you for the question. I strongly support all local residents in Mashpee. This is a diverse town. There are many races of people here. There are many people across age demographics, income demographics. Diversity is really important. I think to how I would address race, at the heart of that, I think, is understanding and connecting with people. So I would approach that from relationship building. It can be through working together on projects, having strategic planning devoted to a specific issue, such as racial issues, because it takes people coming together. Working with diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, Race Amity Day, just really supporting town spaces and making more open spaces and more open communication. I think that really bridges people together to gain more understanding. And and supporting any agreements that the town has with the tribe would be definitely of utmost importance to me, both as a local Mashpee resident, a person that works in Mashpee, and also as a tribal member. I see the importance there to support a bright and thriving Mashpee for generations to come.
Thank you very much. Next, Mr. McKelvey.
Thank you. I would support the intergovernmental agreement. I think it's a good document that works, lets the town and the tribe work together, and we need to continue to work together, because that's how we overcome. If we don't work together, if we don't have dialogue, as you're saying, and connection, we don't go anywhere. We're stuck in the road, and that's huge. And you know, in 2025, I cannot believe we're still talking about racism in 2025. You know, Dr. King said it the best. He said, I don't want anyone to be judged by the color of their skin. I want people to be judged by the content of their character. And that, to me, is most important. I'm colorblind. I think a lot of people are colorblind. We just want to work with people and get to the point where we can cooperate, work together, and I want to understand you, and I want you to understand me. And I think that's fair. Once we do that, guess what? That kind of melts away. And I think that's important, that we take each other one at a time, and we try to get to know each other's perspectives, and our backgrounds. The Wampanoag tribe here has a great history in our community. And the town actually works with the tribe on several projects. They have Natural Resources Department works with them some right now, and the Wastewater Department's working with them some right now. I think it's something we need to continue to do, work together, get to know each other better, and come together as all Mashpee residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Same questions for you, Mr. Richardson.
I'd like to say it's a good question, but I'm sorry you even had to ask it. But one of the things that I think that well, first of all, is the agreement. It's called an agreement. We agree. So if you have an agreement, you should support it. Both parties work together to collaborate, to put together this agreement, so therefore, obviously, it's an agreement we should follow. I don't have any reason why I would say otherwise. As far as racism, again, I hate it, obviously, as most people do. Sometimes I don't understand it. For example, why? And as I go back to what I'd like to think I can bring to the table is, if you collaborate with people and you respect other people, you work together. If you work together, all of a sudden, you're not seeing anything. You're not, as Greg said, you're not seeing any color. You're not seeing any differences, because you've agreed to work together to come to a solution or come to some conclusion where you both benefit by the end result. Now, I wasn't born yesterday, which is obvious. We have to live with a history, and we have to understand where we came from. So therefore, there's a respect that has to be developed by all of us to understand that. On the other side of the coin, we need to live together. So we can't forget about the past. We can respect the past. We can't relive the past, but we have to work together for the future. So I think everybody who wants to do that finds a way to do it. Everybody who doesn't want to do it finds a way to not do it. Our role is to take those people who don't understand or don't want to do it and convince them of the right way to live. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I am not pleased to announce that, as usual, I have messed up my order of questions, and I think I'm just going to try to do the best I can to get us back on track, and hopefully there will be some fairness to the order. This is also a question relating to the Wampanoag tribe, and this will go to Mr. McKelvey first. Although creating a co-stewardship with the Wampanoag tribe for land conservation does not involve the Select Board directly, is there a role for the board in furthering land preservation?
Well, I think there's always a role for the board to preserve land preservation. Looking for those free spaces in town, cooperating with other committees that bring forth projects as well, to do that, working with our conservation, our capital improvement committee, those folks that bring stuff together around town, that bring free space, open space to us as they look at it. I think we need to preserve, Mashpee is a unique place. it's got a lot of history, and it's got a lot of beautiful natural resources, and they need to be preserved over time. And we definitely have a role to preserve them, and I would definitely be someone that would do that. Thank you.
Thank you. The question goes next to Mr. Richardson.
Well, I guess I would mirror what Greg said, as far as, if the Board of Selectmen is to be what the Board of Selectmen is to be, and the managers of the town, then they probably should have some involvement in just about everything. Whether or not direct involvement or some oversight involvement. We're surrounded by water. I mean, so it kind of limits what we can do from a land perspective. We don't have a lot of land, so when you have very little of something, it tends to be a lot more valuable. So as a result of that, whatever you can preserve, and at the same time try to do all the other things we want to do, pretty damn near impossible. But when you come to the future, and where we're going to be, where our kids are going to be, and where the future is going to be, if you don't protect the land and preserve some of the land, they're not going to come. They're not going to be here. So it's not as though, even if you didn't want to do it, we have to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no question. The select board should be involved. They should be able to clear the way for many issues as well. Any organization that wants to try to do something on their own may find it difficult to do, but if you get the select board on your side, it tends to work a lot easier, so I'm all for it.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Richardson. And the same question will go to Ms. Kelly.
And can you repeat the question?
Sure. Although creating a co-stewardship with the Wampanoag tribe for land conservation does not involve the select board directly, is there a role for the board in furthering land preservation?
Absolutely. There is a role. I think that's one of the great things about this town is that there is a historic tribe here that have been stewards of this land for generations upon generations. And so the love and the roots for the land, there's a beauty in that. And a pride in that, of caring for the environment as best as possible, as best as one can. And so I really think that the co-stewardship model is really important and should absolutely involve the select board and would ensure that unity that we were just talking about in the previous question, that togetherness, that vision and mission alignment. At the end of the day, I just met a new resident last week at like a chat and chowder. And I asked, what brought you here to Mashpee? And they shared this story about coming from this, place that they grew up in, they lived for a long time. It got really urbanized. There was like 4-lane traffic nearby, and they just loved the landscape of Mashpee, the waters, the nature of Mashpee, and the look of Mashpee. And so I think that doing that, going in that direction of stewardship together is a beautiful thing, and it's really important for many generations to come.
Good. Thank you very much. The next question will go to Mr. McKelvey first. And no, is it Mr. Richardson?
Yeah.
All right, come on now, Jet.
I know. You guys are
in the
doing
hot seat,
great.
or I was in the hot seat,
You're all-
and I
you're
didn't
all
want to
doing
interrupt
really
earlier,
well.
so.
I'm the one who's messing up
We're
here.
each going to get a hot seat
And
opportunity.
the audience, the voters are doing really well, too, with these questions. I'm glad I'm the one who's messing up and not any of you. This deals with development. Would you support a moratorium on construction of residential, commercial, and industrial properties until such time as we can seek reasonable mitigation of nitrogen in our waterways as we build our sewer system? You probably wish you didn't have that first, did you, Mr. Richardson?
No, I don't think we should have a moratorium on anything. I don't think that's the way to go forward with living our lives in Mashpee. A moratorium means you quit. You've given up on trying to come up with a solution because it's easier to say no to something than it is to sit down and discuss a possible way to fix it. I've said earlier in the discussion that I believe that we should curtail, reduce, somehow or other stop some of the development in areas where we have a problem, but I do not believe in moratoriums for anything. I don't have much more to say about that.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Kelly?
And can you repeat the question?
Sure. Would you support a moratorium on construction of residential, commercial, and industrial properties until such time as we can seek reasonable mitigation of nitrogen in our waterways as we build our sewer system?
I feel that the response to that really would be about prioritizing types of building and where that development is happening, and if it's redevelopment that is going to be sewered in, is it a new build that's on the water in an environmentally sensitive area. I think that there are a lot of factors that would go into a moratorium, but I certainly think that we can prioritize the type of redevelopment or development in this town to both support the water quality. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the hot topic. That is at the top of everyone's list of important issues that Mashpee is facing right now, and to simply build up at similar rates in past decades. I can't even share the immense change that even I've experienced in my 40 years in this town. It's been great and it's been rapid. So I do feel like there needs to be a prioritization and a definite surety that whatever development, redevelopment, any type of project is really supporting housing shortage of some sort, for affordability, and the water quality at the same time.
Thank you. And Mr. McKelvey?
Yes, I'm glad Mike got that question first. The short answer is no, I wouldn't support a building moratorium. However, I would support looking at areas that could be restricted, or maybe there's an area where that could, as Tracy said, regarding types of buildings, because you can't have affordable housing probably without building something. You got to. So that's got to come into play, but you got to watch the nitrates into the ground, making sure you're meeting the standards so that we don't overbuild so that we can't fix the problem, right? We want to fix the problem, but, how long is it going to take to fix the problem? That's the question. Even if the sewer started today, it would be generations before we get better. We have started, we will continue to start, but I can't say that I'm for a building moratorium. I cannot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question, and you can correct me, members of the panel, if I'm wrong, goes to Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
And we're going to move on to perhaps a very traditional topic. Do you support tolls for the bridges to Cape Cod?
Okay. Fresh off the news there. Honestly, the best, answer I have for that is I support innovative ideas that are going to increase the quality of life on the Cape or in our town. I certainly think that tolls are an innovative idea. They've been kind of talked about, over the years, but never really gaining a lot of momentum. But certainly I think that if that is a type of revenue the town, for instance, could bring in, if there's some sort of residential exclusion of some sort so that, people that live on the Cape don't have to pay the toll to use the bridge, but that it would lessen tax burden or taxpayer dollars for things that maybe a toll could support. I think that I'm the type of person that's open to hearing creative ideas and approaches. So I don't feel that any ideas are really just entirely off the table. It's more of, let's look at some data, let's talk about it and crunch some numbers and see, could this really support our town and kind of lessen what taxpayers would have to pay out for any large projects such as the sewering phases, which there are multiple phases coming up. Thank you.
Thank you. The same question for you, Mr. McKelvey.
Well, when they built the Mass Pike, they told people, now when we're finished paying for this, we'll stop the toll, end the toll. It's been paid for some time now, and the poll tax hasn't stopped. I'm absolutely not in favor of tolls. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Richardson.
I'm not in favor of them, for sure. I mean, I think it's one of those ideas that, that probably needs to be talked about, because it's like everything else that we do in our lives down here in Mashpee. It doesn't come free. We're talking about sewers, we're talking about ponds and lakes, we're talking about police station. So I think it's something we should talk about. I'm not necessarily for it. I won't say I'm dead set against it at this point in time, closer to dead set against it than for it, but I think it's something that has to be talked about, because we're gonna get the money. On the other side of the coin, tourism brings in tons and tons and tons of money to the Cape. I've got family that live in New Hampshire that come down to visit me. Perhaps it's a good idea to put a toll in, they won't come down. At the end of the day.
We all have family members like that, don't we, Mr. Richardson?
I don't think it's the right answer to the problem. I guess it is an answer, it is a potential answer, but if we were given an opportunity to do it and we could find another way to do it, I wouldn't do it.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to combine a couple of questions, which I think actually may have come from the same person if my skills at discerning handwriting are pretty good. Would you be an agent of change on the board? Why or why not? And how will you work with board members whose positions on town issues differ from yours? If you disagree with a decision of the board, what action will you take? Mr. McKelvey.
I've always considered myself an agent of change, because I believe that the way you change things is not by forcing things, it's by dialogue, it's by communication, it's by working together. So yes, I would do all that I can to see that we can bring forth a positive environment on the select board as well as a town. I want a positive environment for the town, because when it's positive, people feel better about the town. They're ready to do things for the town. When it's negative, we just got a bunch of curmudgeons running around. We don't want that. We want people to feel positive, and it starts with this board. And part of that is looking at people's positions. We all have different opinions up here, and we agree on some and we disagree on others. But that doesn't make me like or dislike someone more or less. I respect that. Respect is at the cornerstone of what we do here. And I can respect Mike if he disagrees with me about his family coming down. But I can respect that, and at the end of the day, I can still be Mike's friend. And that's what I want to do. I can still disagree. I can still have a relationship with Mike, even if we don't agree on everything. Look, I've voted on things with the Finance Committee that people don't always agree on. That's what happens. But at the end of the day, you leave the room, you work with each other, you do the best that you can, and you try to create a cordial environment so you can come back again and work with each other. Fairness has to be key to that. Integrity has to be the key to that, and trust has to be key to that. All that plays into this idea of working together and getting things done for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. And the questions next go to you, Mr. Richardson.
Well, I'm not sure he's my friend after what he just said, but we're all agents of change, as I think Greg said. I mean, how many of you say to your spouse or your other partner, well, where do you want to go for dinner? And you mention where you'd like to go, and that person says no. All of a sudden, you're an agent of change. Now you got to go someplace else and decide. So we're all that way every single day, every single moment of every single day. I've been on the board in the past, and we had disagreements. We had some pretty good, loud disagreements. And the planning board, we had many disagreements. But we came to a conclusion. We came to a solution. Was it the best solution? We could argue. Was it the solution I wanted necessarily? No. But we're all agents of change, because frankly, if we weren't, we'd all be kind of boring, doing the same thing all the time without having our own opportunity to make our decision, offer our opinion. I think on the select board right now we have people who disagree. I know they had them 10 years ago when I was on the board. but yet we got the job done. So the answer, I think, is one of those redundant questions because frankly, don't go for an office if you don't want to be an agent of change. And we're all here running for a select board. We wouldn't be doing that if we didn't think we were. I think I am.
Thank you, sir. And Ms. Kelly?
Yes, I'm absolutely an agent of change. I think a lot of folks agree that I don't necessarily look like the standard candidate that is going for select board. I offer a lot of community engagement background and working with larger teams. That really is about, at the end of the day, common goals that you have with any given project or team, group, board. And that in order to reach that common goal, there's a lot of discussion, research, connecting, building relationship along the way. And to do that, you really need to have a positive attitude, an open mind, to be a forward thinker. And in some spaces, I think a lot of amazing work can get stunted or halted when that relational piece isn't there, when that level of respect or understanding and kind of like assumption of goodwill is gone. So I absolutely consider myself an agent of change, and I also consider myself a critical thinker. And I think that's part of working with groups of people is that you can do research, you can get more understanding from a different demographic, different than your own, so that it can expand your thinking and add to the decision-making process of the group. And so I certainly would be looking forward to doing that on the select board with my many intersecting parts of my identity.
Thank you very much. We have one final question before we get to closing statements, and this is a question I've never seen before, and I think it's really a very interesting question to folks who are running for public office. I'm completely messed up on my order now, but I think this goes to you first, Mr. Richardson. Who is your favorite political hero?
My favorite political hero?
Yes.
Wow. I can't see anybody of the present select board, right?
No. But if you want to, you can.
No, I don't want to. I think that, if I'm looking at a hero, there's so many, there's actually quite a few of them. I mean, you look at someone like a Franklin Roosevelt kind of person who, with the New Deal and things that he did to change the entire country and the world. We're talking about wars and making big decisions and that type of thing, and yet doing it with a grace and ability that's got support from not only this country but people around the world. It's one of those positions you can hardly ever consider yourself achieving, and you wonder how someone did. There was an issue of health involved as well. So when you look at someone like that that's done as much as that individual did, he ranks right up there. That would be my person.
Thank you, sir. Same question for you, Ms. Kelly. Who is your favorite political hero?
I have many, but I'm going to shift that a little bit to a local hero. And a big part of my growing up here in Mashpee, Chief Vernon Slyfox. I grew up in Mashpee in a time where all the kids were outside. Your bicycle was everything. You needed that to get to and fro. And we seriously lived off the water. And what was really special about his role is that he was also in the Bays. He was a leader that was of people, that didn't need a title put on anything. And I think to be a leader, it's something that's earned and experienced. It's not something that you take. So I really believe in his leadership and reflecting on just what I consider now a golden age, like an era of, I didn't know those were the good times that were going to slow down around Mashpee. But many of my fond memories are learning fishing, being on bays, hikes. identifying plants, the importance of generations, respecting elders, listening to youth, contributing as an adult. Those are all really important to me, and he certainly represented a lot of those things growing up.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Mr. McKelvey.
Thank you.
Who is your favorite political hero?
I can name lots. But in the mid-'80s, I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and a buddy of mine decided to drive down south. And we drove south almost to the border of Florida and went into a community where we met a man who lectured for about an hour and a half. And that man was Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter's humanitarian will to help people, Jimmy Carter's spirit for the human race, the things that he did, almost eliminating guinea worm disease, Habitat for Humanity, his humbleness, his spirit, all that leads me to him. And that would be one of my political heroes in my life. So thank you.
Thank you. And now we move on to closing statements, and you each will have 2 minutes. And as I mentioned before, the order was pre-selected at random. And Mr. McKelvey, you're up first.
Thank you. And thank you, Mike. Thank you for Tracy for being here tonight, League of Women Voters and citizens of Mashpee. Mashpee is a great community. We all know that. And for 15 years, I've done my best to be involved, to be present, to show up at the table and at meetings and do my best for the community. I've seen a lot happen in Mashpee, and there's some great programs in Mashpee that we all can be proud of. I particularly like the recent housing rehabilitation program that Mashpee has, where you can get some funds to help do something to your home, maybe connect into the sewer or leaky roofs or lead paint, get that out of your house, or asbestos. That's a great program for Mashpee. And then I like what I saw just the other day at the Mashpee Middle High School, and that was the Cures Closet and Pantry, where a group of kids, a builders group, sponsored by the Kiwanis Group, went in there and made a food pantry with a closet for people, for kids. And I love that, because I wish I'd had that when I was a kid. I really do. And then outside, you can drive around the front of the school, and they have a pantry outside in the middle of the daytime. You can open it up, you can grab you some ramen, you can grab you some rice or beans, whatever you need. That's a great program. That exemplifies Mashpee to me. Giving back, helping people, working as a group and as a community. As I've said before, my experience leads to this position for me. I will bring to the select board table my years of experience, my knowledge of the town, and I will bring a listening ear to make sure that everyone is heard with fairness, with compassion, and with deference, without prejudice, and help all my neighbors the best I can to the best of my ability as I go forward. I am experienced, I am dedicated, and I am committed, and I will continue to do that. And I ask for your vote on the 10th of May. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. Mr. Richardson, your closing statement.
Well, I'm interested in the job. I wouldn't be here otherwise. I do think that I brought 15, 16 years of experience being on multiple boards and committees. Growing up as a kid, my father was one of those guys that wanted to help everybody. And my mother was one of those mothers that said, why can't you just stop? But he didn't. And I guess I learned from him. That's just something, I won't say, I don't know if it's help, but it's interested. I guess I'd be interested in anybody that has an issue. I'm interested in seeing if we can't resolve it. It's probably overbearing to some people, but on the other side of the coin, that's what I do. I don't require a lot of sleep. I'm active. I love to talk, it's obvious. And I love to interact with people. And one of the most interesting conversations I've had is when someone and I disagree. I feel pretty comfortable saying at the end of any conversation where we really disagree, with the exception of my first wife, we've solved the problem. We get together and we had, we had actually agreed, but I think that's what I'm trying to bring to the table. There's a little bit of experience. I like to have fun. I think we can do the job and have some fun. And I think the town of Mashpee is in a good condition right now to make some decisions. Mm-hmm. Big one's coming up at a police station because no one's going to say no to the water. That's the biggest question on the board right now because no one's going to say no to water. You can't say no to water. So I think I can bring something to the table. I think I get along with most people. Again, my first wife not accepting. But at the end of the day, I'd like your vote because I think I can work for you, and I think we can accomplish what we want to accomplish. So thanks for considering it.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. And finally, Ms. Kelly, your closing statement.
Well, thank you all, everyone, for listening tonight, and I really enjoyed getting to know the both of you much better and where you stand on things. I really am looking forward to being on Mashpee Select Board because I really bring a deep-rooted love and passion for Mashpee. I was born and raised here, and I think that level of personal vested interest matters. It matters when you're on an executive board of something, such as a town. And I am at a juncture in my life where I have a lot of intersectionality with my career experience and my lived experience. So, you know, not only am I a nonprofit professional, that I've had executive director roles, I have directed multiple initiatives, had to manage funds with integrity. Some of the budgets are really large, some of them not so large, depending on the size of the nonprofit or the project. And I think, you know, integrity is key for someone who's going to sit on select board, and that really matters a lot to me. So I plan to really bring my transferable skills from my career path, but also my lived experience in a genuine way for Mashpee, on Mashpee Select Board. And I'm really committed to having the, you know, vibrant school system here. You know, my son is in the school system. I went through the school system and I turned out all right. So I certainly want to support things that really hit home, and water quality, housing affordability, the school system, and how our generation is at the table are things that really hit close home to me. Thank you. Please vote for me May 10th.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. And now it's time for all of us to applaud the candidates and say thank you very much. Thank you all for very informative, thoughtful answers, for a civil and respectful discussion. And again, thank you to members of the community. These were terrific questions, and I think it really brought out some excellent answers, and I think this has been a great forum. And with that having been said, I'm going to turn the podium back over to Lynn Pleffner of the Cape Cod League of Women Voters.
Okay, I would like to thank the Mashpee Chamber of Commerce and the Mashpee Enterprise for collaborating with us on this forum. And I'd like to close the forum by thanking you for choosing to run. This is what democracy looks like. So thank you and best luck to you all. Now, voters, a reminder. The election for the Select Board is Saturday, May 10th. The polls open at 7 and close at 8 p.m. Now, this is kind of bad news. Last year, 20% of Mashpee residents voted in the spring election. That means that the majority of residents did not vote. The spring elections are super important because these people are going to figure out what comes out of your wallet. So it's important that you vote. And now talking about budgets, town meeting is where the budgets are finalized, and that's going to be held Monday, May 5th. And parting shot, please remember, democracy is not a spectator sport. Go out and vote, please. Thank you and good night.
It's gonna be favorite.